Sometimes I observe how some users do not use the capabilities of ZEUS quite rationally. It is clear that some things can be done in different ways. I will try to show the fastest. Maybe I will emphasize some other important points. When opening for the first time, especially if it is the first opening at all after installing the program, it is better to choose some initial configuration that is more in line with your school that you practice. Then, of course, the chosen configuration can be corrected or significantly reconfigured. I will not talk about it now, because it will take a lot of time. I recommend reading the article on the site Setting Up a Astroprocessor. Everything is shown in pictures, all the main points are told. In general, I recommend it. What are the first steps? What does the user face? Well, we need to build some kind of chart. Instead of wandering through the menu somewhere, we can just double-click here and type in the name. For example, Natal 1. Date, month, let's say, 56th year, city, click here once. You don't need to go anywhere in the atlas. Just type in the name of your city, for example, St. Petersburg. That's it. We have a time zone. If suddenly there is no settlement in the atlas, then we can create our settlement on the basis of the city that is closer to it and is present in the atlas. For example, let's take the village of Mukino, somewhere near St. Petersburg. Enter the village of Mukino, here let's say 56 to 57 minutes north latitude, 19 minutes east longitude, and click Create. That's it. The chart has been created, and this village will be saved in the user atlas. Here you can edit settlements, thus creating custom cities. Well, there are separate options here. For example, you can clarify what kind of event it is. For example, it's just some kind of event, or natal, horror, election, and so on. If it is natal, then you can choose gender, male or female. If the card is rectified, check the box. This will all need further searches in the database, if necessary, of course. Rodin's rating can be entered here. Well, the dial where the event will be applied to which dial, like this. And if you have this option of auto-saving events activated, then new events, as well as those generated by other charts, will be written at the end of event pool. An event pool is an area with a list of these events. And there can be many pages here. We can create half events. This can be convenient. For example, you work with different clients and you need to create your own page for each. Here you go. All this can be done. For example, let's create a new page now. You can call it whatever you want. I'm now naming it 3 for simplicity. Save it again and see here what has appeared here. An event pool is a temporary database for operational use. It contains the events that you download from the database, or create, as well as those that are generated in the process of working with the chart. Here you can carry out some other actions with them. You can apply these events to any of the dials, save, change, edit them, move them, that is, sort them if the list is large. Useful functions for someone may be adding an empty line to somehow delimit a block of events on one page. Quick view. If we look at the events, we can immediately observe the charts. Let's create a second event. We are already clicking on the second slot. We write, natal 2. We prescribed 75. Here we choose, let's say, Kemerovo. Creating it. This is how you can build a synastry. Here we choose the type of chart, radix, and here we have 2 charts. Accordingly, the second event was also attributed in the event pool. We can move the event panels from one slot to another. For example, we can move natal 1 to the 4th dial, and then build some kind of chart based on this event. There are times when we need to change events from the first to the second, so that natal 1 is on the outer dial, and the second is on the inner dial. To do this, we move the first event to the second dial, but hold down the Alt key. Pay attention. Here they have switched places. Swap places again. Build other types of charts. Let's take the example of Uranian astrology, for example. Here we have 2 natals. With the third chart, we want to build the direction of the solar arc. Here you need to understand that this directorate refers to natal 1. The fact that here, as you can see, is the basic dial on the basis of which the direction is built. Because if we want to build the direction of the solar arc on the basis of the second natal, that is, the second dial. There is a menu for the dials, and for the 4th dial we choose the basic dial 2. This is how the 4 dials are now built for each of the natals. I highly recommend using sessions. For example, we have built, that is, some combination of events, charts, settings. And this bottom window is the list of sessions. A folder for a session can be quickly selected from the context menu, and this is a folder. Its name will be displayed here. We can click on it right here and also select this folder. And so the preservation takes place in this way. To save the session, or, let's say, I will now call session 1. By the way, there are a couple of options that speed up time. For example, one of them is Reset 1. What it does, you see, it resets all dials data, that is, now it is everywhere here and now, all types of charts are removed. Well, except for the basic dial. Thus, from scratch, you can start building further charts. For example, for a change, let's build natal 1, also on the second dial we will have natal 2, and let's build a solar return. By the way, about the solar return, here is just the second option here. May come in handy. Many people build solar for the natal city. We see that here is the natal village of Mukino, and here we have solar cooped built in Kemerovo. So, to save time again, we can click on this option, Reset 2. What does it do? It sets the current time for the additional dials, and the place of the base dial. You see, everywhere we have the village of Mukino. Now we only have to choose a solar return, which will be built specifically for the village of Mukino. Moreover, I remind you that the solar return will be built preceding this date, which is specified in this slot. If you need to consider the solar and the natal chart separately, then we have the M hotkey. We can also bring it to the usual view, that is, when the chart is superimposed on each other. It is also a convenient function. This is all so as not to climb the menu. By the way, we will save this combination again under the name of Session 2 and can now quickly call sessions. Session 2, Session 1. I think this saves a lot of time. Otherwise, I would have to look for data again, insert chart types. You can deactivate extra charts by clicking on the checkmarks or choosing a blank chart type. I should also mention the extra dial. It is promptly called by pressing the F5 key. Remove the sets of extra objects that we need. I will not tell you in detail about extra objects. This can also be found on the Astrology ZEUS website. Where there are articles, there are about extra objects, so I recommend reading about them. There is a right panel through which you can quickly open a window. For example, let's call the dynamics of time. By the way, here you can not only click on the keys, but you can also rotate the mouse wheel. Forward or backward. Here I want to draw your attention to this red button. If it is enabled, then the change in time, if we choose some additional dial, for example, the second one, the time will change on all additional dials. That is, it is like a bunch of additional dials, so we need to turn off the button if we change the time on a separate dial. Usually, Uranian astrologers work with this configuration. By the way, to hide the tables, just press T. Here we have now, if we change the time of the third chart, namely transits by month, then only the transit chart changes. Return to the original time. If the hitch is turned on, then all the active dials change, so do not forget about this button. Someone is used to working with the database, then the event is saved to the database through the context menu. Here we click Save, select a file or create it where we need to save, and reading from the database we press Ctrl B and actually select some database file already there. Select an event. Which can also be applied to any dial from here. Delete, modify, copy. There are interesting options here. That is, it is possible to construct, if two events are chosen. For example, we can construct solar equations, a mean Davison chart, and a composite. All this can be built, by the way, from the event pool. The database is also a separate topic. There are interesting search functions. But you can read it in the manual. With the event pool, that's what it looks like. So here they are, the solar equations, Davison's S-Heart, composite. As for the types of charts, if you are missing some types of charts, just right-click on the top panel and select the types of charts. We have a current set, and we can create our own set. We can edit it, that is, we can check the types of charts that we are interested in, or vice versa, we can uncheck those that we do not need. There is also a function that allows you to group chart types, that is, so that they are shown divided into subgroups. For example, here is the zodiac division. Choose to add a separator here, add a separator, that's it, and we'll see now. And there the check marks were not included, so now I'll enter the traditional, since after all, before. Decategories are not in the Uranian part. Here they are zodiac divisions. I add separators. Look, you see, the zodiac divisions are highlighted, and a little higher the separator I needed to lower the zodiac division. Well, I think it is clear here. Now I will do it. Here you can transfer the type of chart. So now we took just transferred, not the type of chart. And the separator itself down. This is also a possibility. These are the order of it that can be changed. It can be useful. So, let's check. Yes, this block is highlighted. And so on. In general, you can also set up everything for yourself as it should be. The right panel can be configured not only with these shortcuts for quick access to various settings, blocks, but in the right panel you can place the widgets themselves. It is easier to show the example of the Uranian school. I opened the appropriate configurations so as not to build all this from scratch. And it's easy to do. Here we are on the right mouse button. But no, it can be simpler here. The option appeared in all these panels that can be customized just from the context menu. That is, right-click and here is the option to configure this menu. And here we add and change everything we need. You can see how the right panel changes. Both shortcuts and a widget are present here. They are indicated in parentheses that this is a widget. And other panels can be configured in this way. For example, a panel that many may not know about. This panel is located in the global settings. Now we will select the dashboard. By the way, we set the size here. We can also customize this panel, that is, with some menu elements like this. The same goes for the status bar. Now it is not visible, but it has a hotkey. I myself even forgot the hotkeys. Look at the global settings, status bar, F4, check F4. Here is the status bar. Here we also have this menu, so we can configure it in the menu itself. You see, such blue links can also be quickly switched to specific settings, aspects, stars, and so on. That is, what happens here is that we have the menu item Basic Preferences called and the desired page immediately opens. The fact that the main preferences are in our menu, what? Recently I did hotkeys. That is, what can be done to show the entire chart, hiding all panels. Press F2 again, the initial state returns. We can hide the menu, the F3 keys, and show F3 again. We can hide, show panels. These are the keys 1, 2, 3, 4. Here we hide the left panel, where the event pool, sessions, top panel, Right panel and all panels can be hidden. This is F2, hiding everything except the map, which is naturally scaled to full screen. So far, I'm thinking about everything so that this video doesn't grow too much. If there are any questions, I will then add videos specifically to those questions.